What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unusual Suspects. Guys, we have a fire episode for you guys today. We have a lot of topics that we're going to hit, but let me go around and introduce everybody first. All of our unusuals. We have Brandon in the house. We have David Freiheit in the Casa Viva Frey. We have Rob Gargiulo here, who wore his pants finally on one episode. And we have the lovely Shane that has luxurious hair.
Yes, I would just like to make a quick announcement.
Go for it.
I just started my YouTube channel, and I put up my first video, so look that up, Shane Devine on YouTube.
Shane
Talking
Devine.
about history, American politics, culture, philosophy, all sorts of stuff.
Are you featured in the videos?
Yes, this me.
Okay, shirt on or off?
On.
It should be called, I don't know if it's too late to change, Divine Shane Devine.
There's more.
Bada bing.
There's time to change it. I might work around it.
Okay, yeah, before I know. Yeah, go check out Shane's channel. So, guys, let me go through the topics before we get into everything else. So, me and Dave are going to tag team and just destroy Dr. Fauci, his hearing, Congress, and all those demons. Shane's going to talk about the new Mexican president, which is
Claudia Sheinbaum.
Claudia Sheinbaum, which is totally random.
Communist.
Brandon, speaking of your communism and socialism, Brandon's going to talk about capitalism versus socialism and what's going on with that. And then Rob G, apparently porn is destroying the Amazon and not the website, the actual Amazon jungle, which is random. But before we get into it, guys, I got to show you guys something. So, on a podcast about 2 months ago, Kelly, would you say that? 2 months ago, I was getting into it, and you guys know I get really upset. I get passionate about what's happening in the world, and I Tom out of nowhere goes, Vinny, I get your passion. I understand that you're an angry patriot, and that hit me. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea for a shirt. So we launched yesterday on the PBD podcast, Angry Patriot. And listen, I'm not a big t-shirt guy. They're always like, Vinny, you need a t-shirt. How sick is this t-shirt? It has the flag on the sleeve that has Valuetainment on it too. And on the back, the future looks bright. The beautiful and lovely Kelly and Arnold, she's going to put the link in the description. That's the shirt. Kelly, can you show them, babe? We have the black and we have the OD, the green one right there. You guys, please put in the orders and just listen. A lot of people, especially, where was I? I was hanging out with Pat and a couple other people. One guy was like, hey, can I ask you a question? Why are you always so angry? Like, why about, and I asked, I go, why aren't you? I go, I think the problem is not enough of us are pissed off and doing shit and getting in their faces and like what? Sit on the sideline? Did you see me on Piers? One of these pollsters, Luntz, what's his name? Frank Luntz was like, this guy, and they expect you to sit on the sideline and don't say shit. Enough is enough. All right? Get mad, get angry, and get in their freaking faces like Maxine Waters says. Maybe stuff will change. And we'll also, Kelly, should we do the Manect? At the end. Okay, at the end. All right, we'll do Manect at the end. All right, guys, let's not waste any time. I've been sick for the past 2 days of this guy's face. I think he puts the rat in the word bureaucrat. Mr. Fauci, Tony Baloney. He was in front of Congress testifying again 2 days ago on the origins of COVID. It was a complete shit show, okay? Here's my thing that bothered me too, Dave. Not one Democrat, not one, questioned him about anything. They were like, Fauci, doctor, you're the best. God love you, and he saved people. God,
it's even worse than not questioning him. The Democrats, Dr. Ruiz in particular.
Yes.
They were running hard cover for him. I mean, we're going to play the clip in a bit.
Yeah.
But it's one thing like, okay, fine. The Republicans were hard and they wrote a sternly worded letter and they yelled at him and they took their 5 minutes to berate him, which is just as useless as taking 5 minutes to stroke his ego. But it's not just that the Democrats were stroking his ego. They were literally actively running hardcover for his criminal wrongdoing, saying, oh, it wasn't you, Fauci, you're a hero. It was the other big bad Dr. Morantz and what Drazak or whatever those two other doctors were. They were breaking the law and you're the hero. So we'll get to it because I got some clips.
Okay, beautiful.
I watched 3 hours of this crap so that people don't have to. Rubbish.
Okay, I can't wait to see what you got because I think the best to go after him was Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, listen, I always say they're all on the same team, but there's some, I really look into her to see if she's that good of an actress because a lot of them are, bro. I don't know, man. She seems like she has real anger. She seems like an angry patriot to me.
That's why they hate her.
They hate her, and she didn't hold back. And the first clip I'm going to show, Kelly's going to show, this is her going in on Fauci. Play the clip, Kels.
Fauci, you were quoted on CBS Face the Nation saying it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science. because I represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes, you said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes
Again,
or no? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no
Yes,
answer.
it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that.
See the attitude, see the arrogance. He knows he's untouchable.
But this, as director of the NIH, you did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is disgusting and evil, what you signed off on, and these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this. So the type of science that you are representing, Mr. Fauci, is abhorrent, and it needs to stop. Mr. Fauci, you also represent the type of science where you confess that you made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You
I
made it
didn't
up
say
as you went.
I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared.
It just appeared.
Not based in science. We're going to get to my clip,
What
which
does
is
dogs have to do with
juxtaposing
anything that we're talking about today?
These are scientific experiments. This is what you signed off on. But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers.
That's the science
fact
with
that's
a
been
dollar
hidden.
sign in it.
Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes.
For my few minutes.
Wow.
I like Marjorie Taylor Greene's passion.
Yes.
It was a little scattershot and a little misdirected, and she missed the punchlines of what she was getting at. Those 2 beagles that were being bitten to death by sand fleas, they were put in a net. They had their vocal cords removed because the barking, from what I understand, was traumatizing the scientists who were doing that experiment.
Wow.
I would have just asked a straight question to Fauci. What was the scientific value of torturing 2 beagles to death, to be bitten to death by sand? What was the scientific value? Because experimentation on animals, it could be justified even if you think it's sort of immoral in that, the great curing cancer, people say, okay, fine, try, maybe. Yeah. Torturing beagles by having them bit to death by sand fleas. Just ask him, what was the scientific purpose of that? And let him answer. I don't think he would have had a good answer, but she couldn't.
She couldn't because she was so wrapped up in
and they only have 5 minutes. So it's like you get 5 minutes to try to make all the points that you want. That's not enough time.
Yep.
And by the way, if Kelly can pull up the video of Anthony Fauci back in 2020, where, I put this... I posted a vlog of VLAWG yesterday.
This is it?
Well, we're going to get there. It's like 2 minutes in.
Okay.
But, it didn't... I didn't make it up. It just appeared. It was unscientific, and it just appeared, the social distancing. Mm-hmm. It did, because it was literally pulled out of someone's ass, out of thin air. And he says, it was unscientific, and it just appeared. I didn't make it, but I recommended it back in May of 2020.
And why?
And why?
And think about why would they want us not near each other? Not because of the infection. Why they want nobody near each other? Why
Unless
they want
you were
nobody
rioting.
Huh?
Unless you were rioting.
Unless you were rioting, then you could listen. Peaceful protesting. Mm-hmm. You could be with each other. You could burn down churches. Yeah. You could literally kill each other, kill cops, kill everybody. Just as long as if you're protesting and there's a cause. That COVID bullshit goes out the window.
It's on one side, only one.
Only one side. And so, Dave, where do you want to
check? Yeah, play it from here. There's going to be a few extra seconds. That's my dog.
Distance. It was just something that appeared.
That you confess that you made up the COVID rules.
I didn't make it up.
6
It just
feet
appeared.
social distancing and masking of
This was on
children.
Monday.
I never said I made anything
I never said I made it up.
You admitted that you made it up. You made it up.
I didn't say it. He's so smart.
So are you saying this is fake news?
No,
Mr.
it
Fauci?
appeared.
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science.
Not
and
based
it
in
just
science
appeared.
and just appeared.
I said that it
Okay,
is not
I replayed
based
3
in
times for
science
impact.
and it just appeared.
Slow-mo.
I said that it is not based in science and it just
Okay, contrast,
appeared.
May 2020.
Well, you know, the best PPE for the general public, if possible, right now, is to maintain the physical and social distancing. But as we've said, and I think all of us would agree, there are certain circumstances in which it is beyond your control when you need to do necessary things, like go to the drugstore.
No, so unscientific, and it just appeared. So he professed and gave as medical advice and his expert criminal advice something that was unscientific, and that just appeared from where? Out of nowhere. But that's what they did to humanity. The picture of those kids in daycare sitting in hula hoops.
Oh, my God.
So they were socially distanced.
Yeah.
Tom McDonald said it. It's not about social distancing. It's about something worse. It's about social conditioning. And I now thoroughly believe that in retrospect.
Oh, and they got away with it. And by the way, so just so everybody knows, just to break down what everything happened, these are facts that happened, okay? Fauci knew as early as February 1st in 2020 that COVID came from a lab leak. Full stop. He knew, okay? He and Dr. Collins said in emails that they've discovered in the testimony that they were going to begin a brutal takedown in order to conceal this truth about the lab leak from the public. Shady business, okay? Fauci had to hide these facts because he had funded gain-of-function research programs at the Wuhan lab through your friend Peter Daszak and the EcoHealth Alliance. Fauci was personally responsible for reversing. This is the catch-all, be-all. He's screwed. He is personally responsible for reversing an Obama-era decision to prohibit gain-of-function research because it was risky. Think about it. He came in and was like, no, let's switch it. We want to. Because, mind you, they keep warning us, we're doing this because we have to test just in case this thing comes out. This thing was doing fine and didn't even exist till you idiots started messing with this shit.
It's the proverbial Principal Skinner showing up at the burlesque house and saying, "I'm only here to get directions as to how to get away from here." Like, we need to do research on this and man-made changes to this virus so we can figure out how to respond to the virus that we've just created. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And then Dr. David Moranz at the NIH, Fauci, and Dr. Collins, Dr. Collins' buddy, they developed a strategy for evading FOIA requests that would expose the truth, okay? So he deleted Fauci government emails, which is a crime by using private email to conduct government business, which is also a crime, and probably learned that from Hillary Clinton. And then Fauci, from the beginning, lied about the origins to cover up his role in funding the research. And then they were told to smear. Think about it. It's Fauci. Smear anybody going against their narrative. Scientists, doctors, virologists, anybody that wasn't singing their tune got banned, taken down off of social media. Doctors that were the leading voices, bro. Who was it? Dr. Robert Malone who created
Malone, who's credited with being the co-creator of mRNA technology.
How can you even when it was happening, it's like, what the hell was wrong with us?
Speaking of the narrative, too, like, remember they started calling Trump xenophobic when he said, let's stop travel from China in February?
Yes.
Yeah, so how about that? Like, why is it like a month later he's crazy for saying, like, all right, it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah, and then the
he was
CIA,
xenophobic for
in the fall, they
it.
proved that the CIA was literally paying their own analysts off to not say it came from a lab in China.
So let's break it down, because Dave, I know you want to say something. So guys, let's strip it down. And Rob, I want to hear what you have to think. Strip it. Let's go far back. Why? Why would you want to cover up the fact that China, a lab in China, that this piece of shit was giving all this money to, then this thing came out? Why? Why? Was it on purpose? My opinion,
definitely.
Fauci, China, deep state, these fucks all did it, and it was on purpose. And you know how I know? Because there's still no accountability. He's untouchable. That's why he's cocky when he sits there with that smug, shitty-ass elitist face that he has. I'm going to get into the protection thing, but, dude, it drives me nuts.
They are wordsmiths of the devil, where he says, well, we didn't fund it, but the funding went. We approved a grant to the Eco Alliance, whatever that.
EcoHealth Alliance.
EcoHealth Alliance. We approved the grant there, although we didn't finance it. We weren't involved in gain-of-function research because I'm now bastardizing and morphing what gain-of-function research actually means. These are liars of the highest order, and it's like people often say, like, you can't float two theories at the same time. You can't say it was a man-made virus out of a lab in Wuhan, China, that America had its hand in, or Fauci had his hand in, and also it was a plandemic or a fake pandemic. I mean, definitely there was a virus that went around, and definitely it has its fingerprints leading back to Fauci. Then they take it, and I'm thoroughly convinced, exaggerate all the numbers, lie about the numbers to make it even worse than it is, so they can change the election strategy and steal the election, which I'm convinced they did as well.
Yeah.
But this mother effer is up there lying through his teeth and saying, well, it wasn't gain of function because that's not what I mean now by gain of function, even though I'm using a different definition.
Generic term. Yeah.
We didn't fund it because we went through Eco Health Alliance by giving them a grant at the NAID, my National Infectious Allergy. And what happens? Jim Jordan or the House Congressional Committee comes up and says, the wrap-up of the hearing, and I'm quoting it if I can get it, hearing wrap-up, Dr. Fauci held publicly accountable by the select subcommittee. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Public accountability because he got yelled at, and I mean, I don't think he's embarrassed. Criminal and legal accountability is all that people care about at this point in time because Fauci lied, people died, and he committed crimes against humanity, if only through that unscientific, pulling it out of his ass, traumatizing a generation of children to say social distance, even though we have no bloody good scientific reason to even recommend.
Zero. And I think, go ahead,
you know, Republicans are full of shit, though, because they control the House, and they're complaining about what's happening to Trump, and they're also complaining about what Fauci did, but they aren't doing shit to Fauci. Like, they have all the power they need to hold Fauci accountable, and they're not doing it. There's crimes there that we could obviously...
I agree.
They've done the same thing with...
affairs on a private computer. Like, what? Why can't you prosecute that?
Yeah.
They've done the same thing. Unfortunately, they've done the same thing with the 2024 election. All we've heard about for the past 4 years is that the 2020 election was stolen. What the fuck have you done to solidify the integrity of the 2024 election?
Yeah.
Besides pointing backwards and going, well, they cheated last time. What have we done to change it for 2024? So we have the House, we're in control, and yet we continue to bitch about things but do nothing about it.
Absolutely nothing, and that's why people, why are you angry? That's why I'm angry, because there's no left and right. Okay, and I love it. Jim Jordan, all these guys, gotcha moments. I'm tired of you guys writing letters. I'm tired of these fucking hearings. Nothing happens. By the way, he knows he's untouchable, and I feel, my opinion, that they went to him and they said, listen, this is all that's going to happen. You're going to be the voice. You're going to undermine Trump and shit on everybody and do this, and all this is a plan, and guess what we're going to do for you? You're going to take the bullet, but we're going to protect you for the rest of your life.
They have
Period.
They have the same donors. The Republicans are on an extremely tight leash from the Koch brothers and from corporate America, and all they can do is, raise a little bit of hell, but if they were to ever really go against the deep state or really go against the system, they would be tugged right away because the whole thing is designed so that they are basically the controlled opposition. They're the pressure valve to release a little bit of pressure every now and then and let people blow off some steam. And then, quickly, don't go. That's why it's so important that Trump is, well, not exactly anymore, but self-funded. He started off self-funded. That at least got him to where he was able to go, where he can name the Iraq War as a horrible thing. He can say he's going to release the JFK files. We'll see what happens with that. But, I mean, the more independent candidates, the more self-funded candidates, the more, rogue donors that the Republicans can get, the better. But I don't know if that's really going to happen.
And people, Brent, I'm going to come to you. People, let this sink into your head. NIH scientists made $710 million. Okay, that's pretty close to a billion from royalties from drug makers. Let that sink into all your freaking heads. The fact they tried to hide it. Okay, remember our government told us follow the science, correct? But the science was not allowed to be questioned. But the science followed the money, and the majority of that money, $690 million, went to NIAID, the one that you said, a sub-agency led by Tony Fauci, and 260 scientists got all these royalties. That's a shitload of money. And this is a video Kelly's about to play. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene when she came outside of the thing of the hearing. She goes scorched earth. Go ahead, Kel.
I mean, everything I said is correct. It's how the American people feel. It's what we know to be a fact. It's all the evidence has been proven true. We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon. Well, yeah, so is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd. And Raskin is in there saying we worship him. Excuse me, let me correct you, and this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the bullshit annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats. So that's what we just went through in there. And then they're sitting there, they can attack my character all day long. What's his face in there? Whoever was talking last was calling me insane. But yet we can't say, oh, they're attacking my character. Oh no, it's nonstop BS and annex. You want to know why? The Democrats don't have anything. They're responsible for the lockdowns, forced vaccinations, kids being forced to stay home, people committing suicide, and all the horrors that this country lived through during COVID. Fauci belongs in prison. He should be tried for mass murder.
Yes.
He should be tried for crimes against humanity.
She's pissed.
That's how I feel after that hearing. That's how the Americans.
It's not a hard case to make.
Hey, but the fact that it's not being made and nothing is going to happen to him should wake everybody up to the fact that there is no justice.
Just appreciate, it's not that just he lied about these recommendations of social distancing. The montage of him saying it will prevent transmission.
Lie.
And lie. And a lie because they knew it was a lie.
Yeah.
You had The Lancet, and The Lancet is that medical journal, the reputable 150-year-old medical journal. Find out who funds them. In the early stages saying it's racist and counterproductive to suggest that this was a man-made virus coming out of China. How is that a scientific thing to say? Would you not maybe go about treating a virus that you know or suspect was man-made slightly different in terms of analysis, in terms of scientific research? To suggest that it was racist to do that, and then 18 months later, The Lancet publishes an article gaslighting us like we're idiots, saying it's always been a perfectly plausible theory, the man-made virus. I forget who said it. It's like an intelligence principle. It's not what people know because the information will come out. It's when they know it. So slow leak, drip, drip of information. People get fatigued. And now people don't seem to care anymore that they were experimented on in real time with that toxic jab.
Yeah, great point. Like, both personally, because I'm a pure blood. If I was going through this, guys, I'm not being, because I have high blood pressure. My heart's, it's not in 100%. And I was dying. God knows what I'd be doing to these. Like, I'm being genuine. Here's Fauci. Kelly has another video. This is him crying about his death threats like anybody gives a shit. Kelly, please play this.
So, Dr. Fauci, can you please share with us the nature of the threats you have received since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic?
You're the victim, Fauci.
Yes, there have been everything from harassments by emails, texts, letters of myself, my wife, my 3 daughters. There have been credible death threats leading to the arrests of 2 individuals, and credible death threats mean someone who clearly was on their way to kill me. And it's required my having protective services essentially all the time. It is very troublesome to me.
Who's paying for those services?
It is much more troublesome because
Here we go.
they've involved my wife and my 3 daughters.
Oh, good.
At these moments, how do you feel?
How you feel?
Oh, God.
Keep your mic on.
Terrible.
Keep your mic on. Keep your mic on.
Do you continue to receive threats today?
Yes, I do.
Good for
Every
you.
time someone gets up and says I'm responsible for the death of people throughout the world,
she tells him to keep
the
his
death
mic
threats
on.
go up.
Yeah, so she can hear him crying. Pussy.
By the way, now I've just had a vision.
Go.
Robert De Niro is going to play Anthony Fauci when Hollywood makes the movie.
Wow.
Every time. First of all, death threats you shouldn't issue death threats because it allows the villains to then claim to be the victim.
Of course. No.
And I'm not saying you're saying it. I'm just saying
No, what I'm saying is I'm not, David, listen to me, and I want people to understand this. Mr. Doctor, whatever the hell you want to call him, is an enemy of the people, okay? And for all the losers out there that had those cardboard cutouts on their lawns in Los Angeles, how stupid do you feel right now? How dumb do you feel that you were sold? Like, bro, during this whole thing, from Russian collusion to the pandemic to everything, I thought I was crazy because I'm like, guys, he's innocent. This came from a lab. Everything's coming true. I don't think I know everything, but am I that special? I don't even have a college degree, but I could smell through the bullshit. And him crying, let me explain something to you. Him crying made my day. And the fact that he wants us to feel bad that he's getting his wife and his kids. What about all the wives and daughters that are dead, or they're vaccine injured because of the lies that came out of your mouth, and they couldn't go, fathers and sons couldn't go to their wives and daughters and sisters' funerals because of your piece of shit ass.
Or the people that are alive and lost their jobs or their businesses because of 6-foot distancing mandates, which turned out to just come out of nowhere. Or the children who had to be homeschooled for like my son, who is developmentally delayed. He is not like educationally delayed, but as far as like, you know, he missed 2.5 years of prime middle school. 4th, 5th, 6th grade. My first dance, my first kiss, my first girlfriend, my first crush. He was doing that from his living room and couldn't do it because of these mandates and because of the non-science-based recommendations that this leading scientist made across the freest country in the world, the freest country in the entire world. And that guy, that dictator in chief, was able to create all of these mandates out of thin air to protect the greater good. But look at the damage that it's done.
Oh, and that's why it gives me comfort. Listen, I go to church. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm going to admit my sin. I feel it makes me happy knowing that for the rest of his life, every second that he's awake and living and breathing, he's going to be looking over his shoulder in fear. Good for you. Good for him, because he deserves that for everything that he's done. Good. I hope it ends years from his life because of what he's done, bro. I'm not talking about 10, 20 people. We're talking about millions of people, and we don't know, Rob. You don't know the long-term effects of this shit. We don't know. I mean, we're seeing now the excess deaths. The Telegraph reported
excess deaths in the millions. Myocarditis. Now, after they told you that it didn't happen, they tell you that it happens. When they said it didn't interfere with a women's menstrual cycle, now that it does. If it interferes with a menstrual cycle, it obviously interferes with or impacts reproductive cycles. It's obvious. But the guy gets up there and his crocodile tears.
I hate him.
Yeah, I loathe it. But, you know, the Democrat woman there coaching him. Leave your mic on so we can hear you sobbing. Play this clip here. We want to talk about the Democrats, not just coaching, running hardcover for the crime.
Is that 4 minutes?
Yeah, it'll go in a second.
Okay.
It's going to be the Dr. Ruiz. Acting as an advocate. Like, I would expect such an impassioned pleading from Anthony Fauci's criminal defense attorney at sentencing, not from a Democrat at a congressional hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
Anthony Fauci for jail, for prison. Fauci for prison. What do you say?
The dog's blind.
Yeah, the dog can't see anything, but he hears the bullshit.
Okay, here we're going to get to Dr.
Fauci for prison.
Doctor.
Over the past 15 months, the Select Subcommittee has pored over more than 425,000 pages of documents provided to us by government agencies, universities, and private citizens. We have conducted more than 100 hours of closed-door interviews with 20 current and former federal officials and scientists.
This guy's looking
and
for
what
the
we
truth.
have found is the following. Dr. Fauci did not fund research through the EcoHealth Alliance grant that caused the COVID-19 pandemic.
Lie one, Dr. Ruiz.
Dr. Fauci did not lie about gain and function research in Wuhan, China.
Lie.
And Dr. Fauci did not orchestrate a campaign to suppress the lab leak theory.
Lie.
After 15 months, the Select Subcommittee still does not possess a shred of evidence to substantiate these extreme allegations that Republicans have levied against Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Ruiz
for
is a disgusting
4
liar.
years.
I hate the fact that the fat flag is behind
Now look at him. He looks around. Oh, Dr. Fauci.
Now I want to make something very clear.
But the other two.
In the past month, the Select Subcommittee has held hearings where we have examined various serious issues of misconduct.
Who?
In following the facts, Select Subcommittee Democrats uncovered troubling misconduct by Dr. Peter Daszak and EcoHealth Alliance. Including potential efforts to mislead the federal government about the nature of its work.
He says this at the same time, like, I'm not beating you, but it's good that I'm beating you.
Less than 2 weeks ago, we heard from Dr. David Morins about his flagrant violation of the Freedom of Information Act.
Believe this?
Transparency requirement, the potential destruction of federal records.
Yeah, we can stop the video.
Both doctors added
unbelievable.
He's like, Dr. Fauci did nothing wrong. But the two people that took millions, I don't know how much their grant was from Fauci's organization, they admit to deleting emails, to spelling things with typos so it would escape a FOIA request. These are criminals. They've admitted their criminality, and now you got that Dr. Ruiz is a, an accomplice in crimes against humanity, period.
Yep. So, Dave, and before we wrap up, what, because it doesn't seem like it's going to happen through Congress, is there any recommendations? Is there anything that we can do as the American people? Because a lot of us understand what's happening. There's zero accountability when we leave it up to the people in charge because they're in on it. What do we do? Brandon. Well, go ahead, Brandon. Brandon, go for it.
I was going to say a sternly worded letter might suffice, but then Fauci will complain about email harassment.
Yeah, a letter. That's so funny. As you said, I'm like, a fucking letter. What do you think, Brandon?
Yes, no, I've said it before, and now your shirt ties perfectly with it. We need 535 angry patriots to run for Congress and actually get in. If we get more than, if we get half of that, we could actually control the House. We get more than half that, we can move mountains.
So, I agree
like normal people to be in Congress, not people who are swamp creatures that are controlled by the establishment.
And I think that's long term, which I totally agree.
We have like 10 right now. If we get a couple hundred in there, then we could control the country again.
Well, let's just say immediate short term. Pfizer is being sued now civilly and criminally. Moderna is as well, at least up in Canada. Hey, look, they've set the precedent now. I won't even say a rogue DA. DAs get to prosecute based on local district crimes. Go after Fauci. There's no red state attorney general that can. It's not a question of fabricating. It's a question of finding someone who has suffered a damage within their jurisdiction. Go after them criminally. And it's not a question of playing tit for tat. These are actual criminals. Some bullshit $130 hush money misclassification is not. Play by their same rules. These are the rules, and now you've set them. Live by them. Prosecute Fauci somewhere.
I love that. That's it. See, because mine was take to the streets, because that's where I'm at the point where, dude, I'm just sick. I get angry. Like it drives me nuts that we can't, like, oh my. It's just frustrating because I feel powerless. And again, I get these people will pay, Rob, at some point.
But you got to play their game. Right, the game that they play isn't getting angry and taking to the streets unless it's the death of an innocent black man at the hands of police. It's the political game, and that's why it goes back to Brandon. I think you got to fight fire with fire. So now it's time. Okay, we've shouted, we've done as much talking as we can do. Now it's time for action. What is that action? By getting 500 and how many?
35. That's a small number out of 400 million people. There's a couple. There's like tens of millions of people who are furious about what's going on.
200 of them here last Friday.
Exactly.
To watch Chris Cuomo get eaten alive by Dave Smith during a debate. Yeah. So you tell me we can't find 500 people to come and do that?
Exactly.
I also think really it's. The most important thing is the ideological war that's played on the internet every day, convincing people. Because if we can change the majority views of the country, then they no longer have the consent of the majority, and the whole thing begins to tilt. So it's really first, they may have all the institutions of power, and, the first impulse is we should go and storm them and take it over. No, that's January 6th. That's the honeypot Fed entrapment scheme.
Right.
Instead, we have to just continue pushing and advocating on the internet ideologically. And if you get 80% of people to think this way, it's over for them.
But think about how Google controls the search engine results. Like I heard even Trump donation sites were having a hard time popping up. So, there's a massive amount of people trying to look for that. Google's able to block it. But who's Google afraid of? They're terrified of Congress. Congress can strip Google down to nothing in seconds if they want to, just by saying, oh, it's illegal to run ads on your websites now. Then boom, 70% of Google's revenue goes away. So
we have the House. Why are we not doing that?
Yeah, because they're pussies.
They're all pussies.
So
they're establishment swamp creature pussies.
I love I'm not even joking. Marjorie Taylor Greene's the only one that's dude. She's cussing. She's furious.
There's 10 real people in Congress.
Tom
Massey's up there. Okay,
Tim Jordan is good. He really delivers a good cross-examination and does nothing.
And Kennedy, he's just like an old funny guy that has jokes.
I think that's the biggest problem.
Do stand-up comedy.
Is it that the Republicans who are outspoken have that Southern twang?
Yeah.
And it immediately discredits anything they say. I like what Marjorie Taylor Greene says, but her delivery is just it's poison in my ears. And I like, again, what she's saying, her message, but I hear that twang and I'm like,
yeah. Right. You know who I do miss? Trey Gowdy from South Carolina.
And then he sold out. And he spoke well and did nothing.
Yeah, he's the same. But
it's uni-party rubbish.
It's uni-party. Brandon's been saying it for years. All right, guys, we're going to be moving on to another country. Let's stop shitting on ours for a second. Mexico has a new president, and she's out there. Yeah. Shane, talk to us.
So imagine Fauci, but a climate scientist and former mayor of Mexico City. That's who just became the president of Mexico.
Did you just say climate scientist? Like, how hard is that? Just going outside, going, "It's hot out here."
Shane, I had heard that she was the first woman president of Mexico. Yes. I had not yet heard that she was the first Jewish president. Yes, are we sure about that?
Yes. And you're Jewish. You didn't get the email?
Well, no, I didn't. And now,
don't they tell you at the meeting?
Don't they tell you at the meeting? The hey, we're Jewish meeting.
Oh well, let the conspiracy theories fly now.
Oh, here we go, Dave.
Well, so there's conflicting things. It's like, well, on the one hand, Mexico, I think, is like 0.5% of the population is Jewish. Or
Yeah, it's
like
predominantly
50,000.
a Catholic.
Yeah, it's a Catholic country, so it's like, all right, what are the chances of that? And then, but the pro-Zionist Jews are like, well, she downplays her Judaism. She's an anti-Semite. She hates Israel. She's pro-Palestine. Whatever it is. She is so her parents, I just learned this before the show, her parents were hardcore communists, and they participated in all the left-wing movements of the 50s and 60s, and they think that her grandparents were emigres from the Soviet Union and were Trotskyists. And if you remember Trotsky, who was the general of the Red Army, so like the most communist army ever, he was the general of it. He fled to Mexico from Stalin, and then Stalin sent his goons after him, and they killed him with an ice pick. So she comes from that lineage.
She the spawn of Trotsky?
Basically, yeah. So she has a PhD in energy engineering, and her brother is a professional physicist. I believe in science, she told the Associated Press.
Here we go. Here we go.
Her bio on Twitter says, scientific, humanist, with a deep love for my country and people.
What's her gender, though? She, her, they, them.
She
hasn't. She's unidentified yet.
As Mexico City mayor, Sheinbaum took a more hardline stance on COVID-19 than did Lopez Obrador. So Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, or AMLO as they call him, is the outgoing president of Mexico. They're from the same political party. It's the far-left Moreno party. He wasn't even as hard on COVID as she was.
And why did not to interrupt? Why did he step? Did he step down or
term limit?
The term's
You
done.
know what's funny? I've been having a lot of people telling me, like, if America goes socialist, Mexico's looking like a good place to live. I have a feeling people are now thinking, get the hell out of here, and I'm going further down. Holy, I didn't know her name was Sheinbaum. That was
they're kicking Americans out of Mexico, though. I saw an article. No, I'm dead serious. They're telling them you guys have to leave.
Yeah,
they're messing with their money, right? Because the money situation. We'll get into that later. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, apparently Biden's trying to push migrants into Mexico now, so we're just going to do that. And guess what? Now we have Mayorkas on one side of the border and her on the other side of the border.
Wow.
Well, that's why I don't like noticing these things. But for those who don't know, Mayorkas brought up his Judaism during one of the congressional hearings. Blinken, you got
Janet Yellen,
Victoria
Garland,
Nuland.
They're all Jewish.
Oh, the other one there, Garland, who I never knew was Jewish until he said it. So now you got a border invasion, and you're going to have a Jewish communist president in Mexico facilitating this with Mayorkas.
Yeah, let's just say they're not making it hard.
And Shane,
maybe they're just really good at politics. There are only 6 million of them in the world, but like 20% of them in politics. Maybe they're just really good.
So Dave, as a Jewish man, not to cut off this 1 minute.
Yeah.
Is it weird to you that, and this is for a while, that the majority of the people, I'm talking about the people that are making the major decisions. The president, have we ever had a Jewish president?
Nope.
No. Why is it strategic? I don't get it, because I'm reading this book called The Israel Lobby, which will blow your freaking mind, Dave. And I heard a lot of them have dual citizenship with Israel. Is it a conflict of interest to have the major, like Blinken is what? Tony Blinken is what's
Secretary
his
of State?
Secretary of State. Garland,
Merrick Garland is Attorney General.
Attorney General. Janet Yellen is
Border
Treasury.
Nuland, who arguably partook in the 2014 revolution.
Yeah.
Coup.
Oh, by the way, just to let you know, because some of the people out there are going to, I'm anti-Semitic because I'm asking you. Well, this is so anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
You better be ready for it, David.
But first of all, I'm not only ready for it.
Yeah.
It's like, you remember the episode of The Family Guy when the Asian reporter did something funny, and then the guy goes, "Congratulations, Trish, for setting your people back 1,000 years." There is statistical overrepresentation that you cannot fault people for observing.
Yes.
And there's a bit of a push and a pull, or like you want to have it both ways, where being brought up Jewish, you say like, oh, look at the disproportionate number of Nobel Peace Prize winners who happen to be Jewish, half Jewish, or whatever.
Yes.
So you can't pride yourself on statistical overrepresentation in one regard and then shame people for observing it in another regard.
Thank you.
And so I cannot blame anybody for noticing this.
Yes.
I do say, like, they're not up there doing things in the name of Judaism, so that they're Jewish versus what they're doing is because of their Judaism are two different things. That being said, when you get Garland up there cloaking his evil in allegations of anti-Semitism. Oh, you can't come after me now because that's anti-Semitic because I'm a piece of shit for what I'm doing.
Yes.
Then you got a problem.
Yes.
When you get Mayorkas abdicating his duties on the fundamental thing of securing the border of a nation, and then saying, maybe you don't know my history, I'm going to defend the Holocaust. Well, maybe you should appreciate borders then. So I cannot fault anybody for noticing it because it's remarkable.
Yeah.
What conclusions do you draw from it? They're not doing it in the name of or by virtue of their Judaism. And so it's just a question of maybe, people who are professionals, who have been people of the book for a long time, succeed in these types of things. But my goodness, you cannot ignore the statistical overrepresentation. It just depends what conclusions you want to draw from it.
Honestly, I don't think the problem is necessarily that they are overrepresented in positions of power. It's like, more power to you if you are able to do well in school. Other people should, try to do as well in school as you. Same goes for any other ethnic group that seems to succeed in society. I think the problem really is the fact that that it's so often the case that they are following globalist or socialist or Marxist ideologies. Progressive ideologies. And that isn't necessarily because of their background, but they at least think that the proper interpretation of their history derives from leads to a left-wing conclusion where we have been discriminated against, and therefore we need to prevent any discrimination from ever happening again by pursuing these progressive ideologies. But these progressive ideologies actually just end up creating more discrimination because it sets so many racial tensions ablaze, brings people together, crushes borders, leads to national disarray, and I think it would really be helpful if they reconsidered this conclusion that they've drawn from their own history. And perhaps they need to study their own history and traditions more and become more traditionalist and more conservative in their Judaism and stop just buying into these secular ideologies that were created 100 years ago.
David, by the way, you're anti-Semitic now. I know you're Jewish. You're Jewish, but you're anti-Semitic.
I get called Zionist, Mossad, and a Nazi on any given day on Twitter. No, you want to go even a little bit further down here? Yeah. Let's just, you got. Well, I have a theory also that it is intended to perpetuate stereotypes and to cause divide. You have George Soros, Jewish. doing nothing in the name of Judaism.
No. He's just an evil person.
Anti-Israel.
Funding. Look at all the prosecutors, the corrupt prosecutors that are prominent right now.
Yes.
Kim Gardner from what state was that now? The McCloskeys.
Okay.
Then you got Fannie Willis.
Missouri.
You got Alvin Bragg. You got Leticia James.
Leticia.
Okay, but I'm noticing it. I'm noticing it. Someone wants to draw statistical overrepresentation. I'm noticing that. Judge Kaplan.
Yeah.
The prosecutor Kaplan, E. Jean Carroll, her attorney, New York nipple judge Engelron. Like you can't, so you have this progressive push for fighting the ills of society, and all that it does is now you look at DAs and you're going to make conclusions, or you're going to have suspicions based on whatever. And then you look at all these players, and it is something that you cannot fault people for noticing, and you can't say, well, that's just because it is what it is, and if you talk about it, you're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Right.
It is what it is, and there's a problem because statistical overrepresentation will cause people's brains, because they're wired that way, to draw broader conclusions.
Big time. All right, go ahead.
All right, so let's play this video. This is how the mainstream press is covering her election.
Okay. Our mainstream. Gotcha.
Mexican voters chose Claudia Sheinbaum as the nation's first woman and first Jewish president. Identity.
Una vez en 200 años de la República me convertiré en la primera mujer presidenta de México.
I don't trust that. Identity politics. Sheinbaum is a climate scientist. Never heard of climate science.
Former mayor of Mexico City. I'd like to know what track record she had as a mayor.
Haciendo de México cada día
a more
un país
just,
más
democratic, free, sovereign nation every day.
Libre, soberano, para seguir construyendo la grandeza de nuestra patria.
Okay, you can stop it there.
Okay, Kel, you can stop.
So in other words, make Mexico great again.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So, that's at least how they're trying to. They're pushing it as it's a first woman president. She's a scientist, but the market isn't fooled because Mexico's peso fell 4.1% against the U.S. dollar on Monday after the news.
Ouch!
Because guess why? The whole Mexican economy declined 2%. The question is whether the Moreno Party has done so well that it could command a supermajority and try to pursue market non-friendly policies of constitutional reform. So basically, the market is worried that now that the far left has gained so much control of the country, they're going to start wrecking its economy, and they're going to start making changes to the Constitution that's going to make it impossible for people to do business there. Cool. So Wall Street is not confused about what has really happened. And then if you want to really bring it home, let's pull up this picture. This was her in February.
Oh, weird.
Saying that she's with Larry Fink. I met with Larry Fink, an American political scientist, businessman, and financier. Nice way to put it.
His name is Fink.
Yeah.
I mean, Fink. You got Pecker, Wiener, Fink.
Oh my God. President of BlackRock, the largest asset management company in the world. We talked about the Mexican moment, and I thanked him very much for his visit. So that's who she considers a wise mentor.
Wow.
Great. Now, a good way to check if someone's going to be a good leader is to check their track record, right?
Yeah.
So, a wave of violence is sweeping through Mexico right now under her boss AMLO.
Now?
Outgoing.
Nah.
Now?
Right now.
Started.
Yeah. It's increased from what it was, I should say.
It's crazy.
Mexico sees 10 women and girls murdered on a daily basis.
Can you imagine? Just imagine that. That is abhorrent.
I know.
10 in the city of Mexico?
They're literally calling it a femicide. A femicide epidemic is sweeping through Mexico. Mexico saw 160,000 homicides in the first 5 years of AMLO's presidency.
Jeez.
And the number of missing people has skyrocketed to 111,000.
Well,
when he
because
was
they're all coming here.
when he was questioned about this, they're missing. Though. They don't know where they were going. So listen, Lopez Obrador has brushed off criticism regarding the missing people as sufferers of a delirium of necrophilia. So he's saying to them, "Oh, you care so much about these missing people? Oh, you have a sexual fetish for dead."
By the way,
what the fuck?
Rob, you might not have been totally off because there is a reason to believe there's a lot going into human trafficking. Are you going to get to the WEF website with Claudia?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
just Google it. You go, which camera's going to see this? WEF website. She doesn't have a landing page. This is from 2019. Mexico unveils gender-neutral school uniforms policy. Children who attend state-run schools in Mexico City will no longer have to abide by a gender-specific dress code for their school uniforms, government officials said on Monday. Claudio Sheinbaum, the Mexican capital's left-wing mayor, announced the new gender-neutral uniform policy during a press conference at a local school. Man, I'm gonna have fun just doing a little deep dive into.
What?
Yes,
it's kind of it's just weird to have her be, and you're gonna go into the deaths and all that stuff. I'll let you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just show this picture real quick. I just need to feed one more red meat conspiracy theorist. So there's this thing called Kabbalah red bracelets. I just learned about this yesterday.
My mom talks about those.
Really?
Oh, yes.
So
she yells at me whenever I like celebrities, and then she goes, "Did you know that they practice Kabbalah?" And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
She might have been wearing that for the menstrual hygiene day, which was on May 28th.
True. Well, anyways, I don't know.
That's a thing in Canada, by the way. I didn't just make that up.
We might need to have Rob's mom on for this, but
don't say that.
The red
Do not
bracelet.
Say that. Don't say that. They say it in the chat.
Ms. Gargiulo.
No. It's apparently to ward off the evil eye. It has to do with Kabbalah, which is this mystical strand of Judaism, but a lot of non-Jewish celebrities seem to also be wearing these bracelets. Madonna has them on. Obama.
Cuba Gooding Jr. had one on when he was
really?
in. Yes, because as soon as I saw it, I went, "Oh, my mom's going to hate Cuba Gooding Jr. now."
Can we go back to that picture for a second? Just pull it up because I thought I saw something else that reminded me of the Podesta brothers. Are those injuries or are those just liver spots on her hand? I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah, lots of.
She's way too young to have liver spots.
Well, that's what I thought, because she looked young before, but that hand looks like...
Listen, say what you guys want. I don't trust her already. But go ahead.
No.
Okay, so Vinny brought up the deaths. So this was also the deadliest election in modern Mexican history. 37 political candidates were assassinated.
Oh, my God.
828 were attacked during her rise.
I don't believe what you're saying.
It's
37
true,
died.
It's
and
true.
Adam said on the PPD podcast that more were killed that we kind of don't know about, but 37 to date in this 1 year.
Yes, but so these are local elections mostly, but they're still mostly, it seems, right-wing candidates that are opposing the status quo, and they're just being murdered. And
could you imagine that?
I'm just picturing Hillary Clinton right now. What can I say? People around me just get murdered.
People just drop
what do you
like
want me
flies.
to do?
Look, Claudia Sheinbaum, what can I say? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
what do you want me to do?
So, and then in 2021, 36 candidates were murdered. So it's the most by one death.
And what are the gun laws like in Mexico?
I'm sure extremely strict and probably gun confiscation.
Yeah, only cops and cartels.
Yeah. There's one gun store in Mexico.
Regarding the surge of violence, Sheinbaum said her policy will be enhancing the quasi-military National Guard formed by AMLO and continue his policy of poverty alleviation in the name of preventing cartels from recruiting young people. Let it be clear, it doesn't mean an iron fist, wars, or authoritarianism, she said during her last campaign speech. We will promote a strategy of addressing the causes and continue moving towards zero impunity. So we won't lock anybody up. We'll have all progressive sheriffs everywhere. And guess what? No guns for you to protect yourself, but we will be arming a quasi-military armed force to institute martial law.
Oh my God.
And then so Al Jazeera, not exactly a right-wing platform, wrote a headline saying that her victory is a victory for organized crime, and they were all but saying that she is in bed with the cartels, and that the cartels essentially promoted her to become president so they can become more powerful.
Do you know what the results of the election were? Was it close?
It
or
was 58% she won by, so it was a good amount.
The person up against her was killed. So the hell with the polls or the numbers.
And people online are saying she was selected, not elected.
Yeah,
there's nothing democratic about this.
I'm more taken aback by the fact that Mexico is. I mean, I don't know these things. I just thought it was always a very traditionally Catholic and religious country.
It is.
Which I mean. Maybe they didn't know because I didn't know, but I didn't know her name until today. But that name's, Scheinbaum is not one you can hide. That to me is the flabbergasting part. Is that a word? Flabbergasting?
It is flabbergasting.
I am flabbergasted because
Sorry, go.
No, go. Would you ever? If I told you 5 years ago Mexico has a female Jewish president, you'd be like, "What are you even talking about?"
Yeah.
It's
you make
Catholic.
a great point. Hold on, can we just go back to that video? You make a great point that it's a predominantly Catholic country. This is kind of strange that in a Catholic country,
super religious. I mean,
super religious.
I saw Desperado.
Jesus Christo, the Virgin Mary. They pray to this thing. Are you kidding me?
But this is now their president of this Catholic.
Can we play this?
Holy hell!
Hoy es el Día Nacional e Internacional contra las LGBTI.
She didn't waste any time.
Quiero refrendar mi compromiso con todas las personas de la universidad y sus familias, por la libertad de ser y por la libertad de amar.
I have the rainbow flag.
The transformation.
Oh my!
She said the transformation.
Is she married?
And then one last thing, I'm not sure actually. So one last thing is that I just found this very funny. She promised, so she's pursuing a climate change agenda, but she's going to fund the new welfare state she's creating through the state-owned oil company Pemex.
She is married, by the way.
She's married.
So you
guy or girl?
Jesus Maria Tariba. So male first name,
female
maybe
second
middle
name.
name.
Interesting.
So what do you? I mean, do you think she's going to help? It's going to be worse.
It's going to be terrible, and we're going to have even worse immigration numbers. So
because people are going to be wanting to leave there to come here,
and because she's going to be setting them up, like not stopping them at all. Like, go right ahead.
And then you got Majorca, who's on the HAIS, the Hebrew Association of Immigration, something. I mean. I'm sorry. The negative stereotypes are going to write themselves with this. This is
you anti-Semitic Jewish son of a bitch. All right, guys, moving. I love it, Dave. Okay, Brandon. Capitalism versus socialism. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so I'm broaching this topic because tonight at 8 o'clock I'm going to be debating this communist on my channel, so you guys have that to look forward to.
Where's this at?
Yeah, on my channel, Brandon Aceto on YouTube tonight.
Who are you going after?
Being a communist named Infrared.
Is he showing up?
No, virtually.
Oh, virtual. Okay,
yeah,
I want you to destroy.
But it's going to be intense, and I will destroy him.
Infrared, give him credit. That's a damn good name for a communist.
Infrared. Yeah,
yeah right? Yeah.
All right, Brandon,
Creative.
talk to us.
Yeah, so it was concerning to see that I popped in my head like, all right, like what percentage of America is in the camp of thinking that socialism, communism is a good thing. So I looked that up, and Kelly, if you go to that first one, so 57% of America has favorable opinions of socialism. People who are Democrats, and 36% of people total think that's a good thing, compared to only 57% for capitalism. But the concerning thing about this is that there's really not a huge difference between socialism and communism. And then it's like socialism is basically a step in the direction of communism, and it always ends up in communism. So the next chart will show.
Who was it that said the end goal of socialism is communism? I thought it was
that is a quote. Is
Marx or the guy with the beard?
Engels.
But what's the what's the difference between the two? If one, it's like almost an incubation phase. What's the difference between socialism that turns it into communism?
Exactly. So socialism has limited private ownership. Communism has no private ownership. Socialism has government, private entities. Communism has a central government, and then socialism has limited class distinction, whereas communism had no class distinction. Then socialism production of social needs, societal needs, and then communism production of basic needs. So basically, private ownership, it's like you're partially not allowing private ownership in socialism. Then in communism, you have no private ownership, so the government owns everything. They control all the means of production, which is why in the last 100 years, communism has killed 100 million people, more than all the wars combined.
Jeez.
45 to 50 million under Mao's cultural revolution.
I was just going to say Mao was the leader. He's the biggest
Stalin.
mass murderer, isn't he?
Yeah, and Stalin.
Of his own
after
people.
Stalin.
So more Russians died because of Stalin's leadership, just by them fucking up their agriculture and then having firing squads, than the entire World War I and World War II combined.
Wow.
The interesting thing is, at the risk of this is going to be the controversial topic, is that Hitler gets demonized as the most murderous of dictators of all time. And what is he ranked? Not even third as far as murderous dictators.
What a
go?
loser!
No, it's like but it's a weird thing is how the Soviets and the Allies won World War II and then get to write the history books.
Yes.
And so in some sense, even Mao's number one is not very well known, and it's a very curious thing as to why Hitler. There's no excusing. You're dealing with dictators, but if you go by numbers. He's a distant third to Mao and Stalin.
Yeah,
well, what wasn't?
Yeah, go ahead. Because I'm thinking about Brandon. I'm sorry. Because like people always call Trump Hitler. They should be going Mao. They should be calling him Mao if they really want to go for the gusto.
No, but they have to take off their Che Guevara shirts.
They identified that. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, yeah. So I mean, I think the thing that with that is that one was an accident and one was intentional. So Hitler intentionally killed all those people. Then Stalin and Mao, they had such bad policy ideas. They accidentally had 100 million people die.
Well, I saw this one letter from this communist named Herbert Marcuse. He was a big-time critical theorist in the 50s, and he wrote this letter to this conservative philosopher. The conservative philosopher basically asked him, so why are you defending Stalin and attacking Hitler when Stalin is basically the same thing? And he replied to him, well, Stalin at least has the ideas of humanity in mind. So even though in practice it is destroying humanity, it has the ideals of humanity in mind, whereas Hitler has the bad intentions. So he's more evil, even though the other guy is killing more people.
It's an amazing thing. Like that is the distinction. You say Hitler targeted a specific group of people, Jews, blacks, gypsies, handicapped, where Stalin... It was just everybody. Except you get the Ukrainians who come in and say that's not true because a targeted starvation is just mass murder with a different means. It's not gas chambers. It's literally confiscating food and people going dead. But again, we're dividing by zero when we're trying to compare evils here.
Yes, Stalin also had a purge against the kulaks, who were basically wealthy peasants. It sounds like an oxymoron, but there were some farmers who were doing better than others and they owned more land. So he literally gave permission to the poorer peasants to go after them and murder them. And throughout the whole countryside for like a decade.
And then they all starved to death.
The wealthy farmers who actually knew how to farm were being mass murdered, and then everyone starved to death.
South Africa 2.0. Well, I guess South Africa is that 2.0, but on
Zimbabwe.
A scale.
Exactly.
By the way, I meant to ask, like the question before answering that poll as to how many people support socialism versus capitalism. I guarantee you they couldn't define socialism.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I mean a lot of them wouldn't even know that it's different than or what the difference is between socialism and communism. Because even if you go on like Investopedia, it'll be like, yeah, theories say, or there's like not a lot of clear distinction. So it's a very obscure thing that definitely the vast majority of people can't name
which is very weird.
Yeah, like is it foggy on purpose, or is it set up to be a stepping stone in the direction of communism? Which I think that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird how one of the biggest topics and ideologies of the last 100 years that determined the last 100 years of world history, no one knows anything about, and no one can give you more than a paragraph of information. And what the hell is with that?
Yeah. Mao's Cultural Revolution, what's amazing to me is like I'm sort of learning more about it now. It wasn't 100 years ago. It wasn't 70. It was like
in the 70s.
The late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. Wild.
It was after the Beatles.
and people talk about it now, and nobody listens to them. And I mean, it's treated as far off and obscure as North Korea, but it was mainstream barely.
And a story that stuck out in my head, I was listening to Alex Jones's book, The Great Awakening.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of freaking evil person Mao was?
Dude.
A kid, I think like 8 years old, maybe a little bit younger, maybe 8 years old, Rob, this is crazy. He stole a piece of food, I don't know, grain or rice, whatever the hell it was, handful of grain. They made the father, they put guns on the father. They made the father bury the son alive, bury him alive, and then kill him too. Like, what? And people are like, Trump's Hitler. This guy, Mao, was the epitome of fucking evil, bro. Could you imagine that? Your son stole, bury him alive, and watch him, hear him in the ground dying and suffering. Go ahead, Brent.
Psycho. No, I mean, and the problem with it is that it's so easy to sell to people because, it's just a statistical thing that the majority of people are going to be on like the lesser end of economic means because a small portion of people end up producing the most stuff and then, wealth aggregates to them. And then a lot of people are pissed off because they feel like there's class disparity. And then somebody like Marx comes around who was a scumbag, lazy, and like had all these, like he's basically like a welfare leech type of mindset person. And he sells this idea to people of like, things should be like broken up evenly, these greedy capitalists. By the way, he coined the term capitalist, by the way, to disparage free markets. So this is a controversial opinion, I think, especially here. But the term capitalist was created to disparage the free market because if you go to the next slide, I think you could skip one or two. So I don't believe...
This it?
Yeah, so this says how Marx originally coined the term. Or
the name capitalism is well established by now and has been adopted by even the Friends of Individual Freedom. The term was initially used as a pejorative free market economics, coined no less than the enemy than Karl Marx and his friend Friedrich Engels, but slowly has become a term of appreciation of the multi-historical process that is delivering achievements in human well-being that even the blindest dogmatic. What?
So he created an easier way to criticize the free market, which the free market's the thing that we should really be fixated on, because that's the best way to have a good economic system.
Of course.
So if you this one, could you zoom in a little bit possibly? Which one sounds more like what we have today between these two? So the first four, they start the same. An individual has an idea, and the individual forms a company and makes a product for the from the idea. Consumers give the company money for the product. The company becomes successful. And then here's where it differs. In capitalism, someone else has a better idea, creates a better product. In corporatism, the company uses its wealth to manipulate the government into giving it more power through tax breaks, regulations, etc.
Oh, weird.
In capitalism, consumers give their money to the new company to get a better product. In corporatism, someone else has a better idea and creates a better product. Consumers are forced to continue buying the old product. The most corrupt and manipulative corporations make the most money.
I think we're in corporatism.
I think so too.
Oh, it sounds weird.
Well, it's effectively describing. I would call it more like crony monopolyism, because it basically is. It's what happens when certain companies get too powerful and can control the markets instead of being impacted by them.
Right. So we don't have a free market right now, which is why we have like just a big five of companies in each sector. So we like the military-industrial complex. We have 5 companies that dominate everything, and they could price gouge the shit out of Congress, and we paid double the money that we actually should for military contracts. Same thing with pharma. Same thing with banking.
Big tech.
Yeah, big tech.
And it's also these companies and their lobbies in Congress. Those are the donors I was just talking about to the Republicans, and they just call this capitalism. It's not capitalism, though. It's only capitalism because of this stupid word capitalism. If you were to actually use the right word free market, you'd realize instantly it's not free market. It's leveraging power with the government and with politicians, paying them off to give you special bonuses no matter how bad a job you do, so that the people who are trying to uproot you in the market don't have a chance to. So it's literally rewarding mediocrity, and then all of our planes fall out of the sky and we wonder why that's happening.
Yeah, no shit.
I just call it more fascism, because what you have is private enterprise working with government, in tandem to protect each other's interests. The recent thing where Trump said, "I'll give $1 billion in tax breaks to the oil companies," and then everyone accuses him of quid pro quo bribery or whatever. How many hundreds of millions does the oil industry already use for lobbying the government currently? I mean, what it is basically it's an attempt to maintain power and now accuse anybody of doing what they're actually doing in real time.
Yep.
But no, crony capitalism.
That's
That's pure corruption.
All corruption.
No, and that's the thing that's screwing everything up. And I mean, people are blaming capitalism or blaming the free market, like that. So people don't even have the right idea of how the economy should operate. Because if it was a true free market, then if a company was shitty, it'd be whittled away at over time by new competitors. But people, places like Google or Boeing, whatever, they're able to use the government, weaponize the government against their competitors with regulation and laws and all these tax things that just knock them down.
And by the way, Scheinbaum, what she's doing, she nationalized an oil company and is going to use the profits of that oil company to fund the welfare state and basically make her more electable by the same socialist voters time and time again. This is the end game of monopoly. It's you get so big that you become integrated with the government, and then the government uses you as basically a piggy bank to win elections forever, and that's communism.
Well, people did say in the early stages of COVID that the end goal of COVID was communism, or it is communism in play. I mean, what did they try to do with the moratorium on rent? They effectively tried to nationalize private property. Nothing short of that. But for the grace of God, there's a Supreme Court that sometimes does the right thing in America. I mean, COVID was the mass implementation of communism in free Western societies by nationalizing private property and by basically putting everybody on some form of government house arrest control and owning the bodies of the people. So
our government, Dave, would want nothing more than for us to go, all right, guys, listen, here are all of our guns. Please, if we asked for that type of shit, they would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Yeah. You guys decide for us, all income, there'll be no rich, we'll give you guys everything. Please take care of us. That's what the hell they would do. You don't think that if we gave our government our guns and gave up our rights, you don't think they would take them?
Yeah, no.
Are you fucking crazy?
Tens of millions of people would die.
Guys, take the guns. No, we don't want to bullshit.
We'd be China in 10 years if they did that.
Oh, 1,000%, bro. That's why when people from England talk shit, I go, listen, bitch, because they want to take the guns. I love getting into it with people from England. Did you see the Piers Morgan clip? that I was on Piers Morgan?
Yes, but remind me.
I'll show you. There was it's a recent one where a blonde chick gets on there and she's from England and she's talking about this and Trump. And I was like, where are you from? She go, why? You want to come get me? You want to come? I go, no, bitch, this is America. I wish I had the time to be like, if it wasn't for shit like the Second Amendment, I'd be speaking with your accent, bitch. I go, we don't.
Not just that. You just remind her, like, don't you live in the country? I mean, Scotland is part of the UK. Didn't you live in a country where they just jailed somebody because they taught his dog? He taught his dog to do the salute.
Yeah.
Or they locked up another guy for leaving a ham sandwich outside of a mosque. I mean, that's what happens. You end up with the UK and you end up with something of a Europe. I now fully appreciate the inherent immeasurable value of the Second Amendment, and I'll never look at it the same.
It's beautiful. All right, Brandon, I love you. Rob, last story
Speaking of beautiful.
Speaking of that, I guess porn is destroying the Amazon. I heard this when we walked in here, guys, and I couldn't believe it. I go, why would they want to do something like this to these nice people? Rob, that's a story.
Yeah, so this came out from the New York Post on June 4th, so that's yesterday. Remote Amazon tribe finally connects to the internet only to wind up hooked on porn and social media. So about 9 months ago, Elon Musk delivered Starlink to the Amazon. It's this tribe of 2,000 people. It's the Marubo tribe that is in Brazil. 9 months ago, they got access to the internet through Starlink. And now it has ruined the Amazon. According to members of the tribe, things have now gotten worse. This is a quote from Tazanima Marubo. Everybody in the Marubo tribe has the last name Marubo.
Okay.
So everybody is
it's a
related
Marubo
or something. I don't know. But so this 73-year-old man told the New York Times, now things have gotten worse. Young people have gotten lazy because of the internet. They're learning the ways of the white people.
Oh, no.
They say that they have now seen an uptick in sexual aggression among young men in the Marubo tribe. They say Marubo men have been sharing porn videos in group chats, and they have observed some men exhibiting aggressive sexual behavior. They say everyone is so connected that sometimes they don't even talk to their family.
Rob, you know why it's aggressive? Because they're watching S&M, choking, hitting, and...
This is like the episode of The Simpsons when they show what Ireland was like before whiskey got introduced. And like, here you go, like, oh, like 5 seconds later, everybody's fighting. I mean, first of all, I also got, there's a funny joke in there, Marubo, if you get my rub on, because
you're going to get your rub. Where the hell did they get all these cell phones from? Did they give them cell phones and shit?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a very... all I know is the internet.
Do they use one community computer? Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Shane, you're really getting into the...
And where are they charging this shit? They're just out in the middle of nowhere.
They're gonna need
These are all very good questions.
Yeah. I got another
the
one.
New York Times failed to raise. They were just like, oh, you guys are jacking off a lot? That's a problem.
One guy's jacking off, and one guy's just angry because the other guy has his computer. He's like,
that is it. It's not sexual aggression. It's just aggression because they want to get their rub on.
iPad mine.
They're going to have to start filtering the water in an extra way here.
They say that the tribes people have become so addicted to the internet that Marubo leaders, fearing that their history and culture could be lost forever, they've now had to limit access to the internet to 2 hours each morning, 5 hours each evening, and all day Sunday. It's the same thing I do with my 14-year-old.
Oh my
I've literally done the same thing, mostly because I'm worried about him getting his rub on, like the Marubio.
And then getting aggressive and smacking you in the head for taking away his iPad.
They say, this is the craziest part. Some of the members of the Marubo tribe, much like the elderly, have fallen victim to internet scams where they are giving away digital currency to strangers they're chatting with on social
Are these
media.
people...
How do they even have digital currency?
I'm going to ask the extra stupid question. What do they spend the digital currency on?
I don't know. Leave.
I don't want to know.
Huts? Are they getting mobile huts? They're in the Amazon.
They're gonna get Amazon deliveries to the Amazon.
Prime.
The question becomes, you see that the effect that it's having on these people who have never had the internet before. So in 9 months, it is
ruin them.
Yeah, it's ruining a tribe. Again, 2,000 people. I don't know how long the tribe's been in existence, but 2,000 members. They're now having to restrict the amount of use of the internet. They're showing upticks in sexual aggression among men. People are addicted to their phones. They're not talking to their families. The question becomes, is the internet bad for humanity.
Yes. No, the real question is, have they heard of Viva Fry? Because Marubos, if you want to watch a great show, Viva Fry every Sunday night.
Go ahead, Dave, please.
I was going to say, my wife would have a field day with this because she's a neuroscientist, and like you are dealing in some sense with, I imagine there's an analogy between Native Americans who weren't brought up with drinking alcohol and don't have, lack a certain enzyme. And you're dealing with a tribe that has not formed these connections yet in their brain, because it definitely changes brain connection. It releases endorphins and whatever. And like, it's like you may as well jack them up with heroin, because this is digital heroin for a culture that has not been brought up with it and had no possible exposure to it. I mean, it can wreak havoc.
It's crazy because I see the 5-year-old. I have a 14-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And I'm seeing the 14-year-old when he gets into the doom scrolling. That's when we take the phone. If I see you going like this, give it to me. There's nothing that is value of what you're doing right now. You're just wasting time. How do I know? I catch myself doing it. I'll be sitting there and I'll go, oh, damn it. I'm in the doom
Rob, it's for work. That's for work. You can get away with it.
Research. But how many OnlyFans accounts can I subscribe to before it's no longer research?
Tell them, Rob.
But it also becomes a question. Candace Owens and Cardi B got into this last week because now it's so weird for me to make this turn. I've never been a person that thought that we should ban pornography. I haven't. I've always thought that it was, well, mostly because I consume it. So I don't want to ban something I use. That's like a guy that smokes cigarettes advocating for them to ban nicotine. It doesn't make much sense. But now seeing that I have a 14-year-old and seeing how accessible porn is on the internet, it's literally on my Twitter feed, and we talked about this in the PBD podcast prep meeting, Vinny. Like, Facebook doesn't allow it. Meta doesn't allow it. TikTok doesn't allow it.
Hardcore. Like, I'm scrolling through comments.
I saw
in Twitter.
you post something.
No, I don't want to post the ones that there's like graphic vajayjay. Like, there's no way an algorithm doesn't pick up a vajayjay.
But didn't you tweet at Alon and you were like, look at these bots, because you posted something that was non-porn related, and then every response was, check out me smashing my clam on my own OnlyFans page. And I'm like, how is he getting flooded with this?
Like, I'm in a public area and I'm just scrolling through comments, and then there's a woman with her legs spread. Like I'm not a Puritan,
terrible,
but I don't want people thinking I'm surfing porn on Twitter. It's like it's not even getting the warning symbol. It's just right in the chat.
No, yeah, dude? And I guess didn't X just announce that they're going to be
so they allow it, but what they're going to be doing is they're going to be asking adult content creators to label their content not safe for work, so that people, the underage kids, won't be able to see it.
What if their work is pornography? Then it's totally safe for work.
Yes.
Leave it to the lawyer to find a loophole.
I do have an issue because we were on a PBD podcast and Peter Hegseth was there, and I typed because I wanted to tell Rob a joke because when Robert De Niro was in the middle of New York yelling and screaming, there was a horn going,
that was funny.
So there's a video I sent Rob that I was searching for, which is a bulldog that's humping the steering wheel. So I was like, let me send it to Rob, because I was like, I was going to be funny and say, you know where that beeping came from? I went on X and I put bulldog humping steering wheel, and I pushed enter, and what popped up on X was a gay naked guy.
Hold on, I'll
with
be
a
right
bulldog
back,
mask
Vinny.
going, naked. And Tom and Peter were like, holy shit. And I was like, no. Dude, it looked like I was watching gay porn.
Vinny, what were those search terms again? No, I'm just going to go do some research.
Bulldogs. It was wild. But to your question, I think, because it's such a split thing, because I think the internet is 1,000% necessary, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be able to talk shit about Fauci and all these assholes and having them accountable, because now we have the access to information, so we could put them out there for the shit that they're doing. But on the flip side, bro, if your kid grabbed your phone, your 5-year-old, and went on X, and he could watch porn, and there's no firewall, there's no code.
I mean, we come from a different generation. I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm assuming the three of us are probably in the same generation where we grew up pre-internet. So, like, to look at a naked person, it would have to be you're either being a creep and peeping Tom looking in windows, which I did not do. So I want to be clear about. Or you'd go to the woods and you look for beat-off rags. That's what the porno magazines. That's what we do. We would spend 6th grade. We'd ride our bikes in the woods looking for porno magazines, or you'd grab the National Geographic magazines where they show like African women and you'd be able to see breasts. Now it's literally in your phone. It is everywhere, because it can be on your tablet, your phone, your computer. And I get that there's safe features that you can put on. You think that my child is not more electronically intelligent than I am, he's going to be able to know how to turn off whatever safe filters I'm turning on.
For sure.
He's smarter than I am.
Well, my issue, I got sensitive to this, is porn. I'm not a Puritan, and I don't think you should have to register and show an ID like some states are implementing, though I can understand the rationale for that. Where I got very sensitive to like the devastating impact of this is revenge porn that gets posted to the internet, revenge porn or non-consensual videos, consensually shot but then posted to like Pornhub and whatever, and they never get taken down. And even when they get taken down, the internet is forever. And that's the secondary, subsidiary, nefarious element of it. But now scrolling through, there's no excuse for it on Twitter, period, because it makes it impossible to navigate the comments. How do we get from the Marubo tribe to this? Can you imagine they're going through, and instead of fishing and instead of like what is it called? Living
sustainability.
Instead of like fishing to sustain lives, it's how a tribe can instantaneously within a matter of years be eviscerated by
Elon Musk.
The Ayatollah of Iran calls us the Great Satan, and it's more and more difficult to prove him wrong. I mean, when this is our cultural product, like this is our output to the world, we hook them up to our internet, and almost immediately it destabilizes the entire tribe. They're not able to do these 1,000-year-old traditions anymore.
But I want to know, because Rob, okay, they get Starlink. It had to be the one guy that set it all up, the black guy that was banging on the thing. He was like, hey. Right there. Because how do you know what to search?
Yeah, first website's boobs.com, which is the same thing I Googled in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Well, not even Googled. It was AOL, and I'll never forget. I remember my dad busted me the first time I went on boobs.com.
Yeah.
My parents took my brothers to a skate park. They left me home alone with my friend Sejan Patel. Sorry, Sejan, to throw your business out there. But
First and last
he's
name.
like, hey, yeah, that's fine. I mean, how many Patels are there? It's going to be very hard to narrow that one down. So he goes, hey, have you ever seen like nude girls on the internet? And I was like, you can do that? And this is the days of AOL. So I would shut the house communications down by logging onto the phone line to look at it. My dad's gone, and I go on AOL, and we went on boobs.com, and there were boobs, and it was great. And then I thought if you just deleted it from like your browsing history, like right-click delete on AOL, you're good. But no, my dad went to the cookies. And when they came home, my dad goes, what were you looking at on the internet today? And I went, nothing. He's like, no, you were looking at something. You want to talk about it? And I went, no. And he goes, never look at that stuff again. I went, okay, Dad, I never will. And to this day, every time I look at porno, I'm like, hope my dad doesn't find out.
That's so freaking messed up. But dude, I think that's gonna ruin them. Because they're not now. Good luck trying to take it away from them.
So and I agree to the point that Cardi B, because I want to tie this back into Cardi B and Candace Owens, mostly for the SEO. There you go, Humberto. But they debated this issue. Cardi B, they didn't debate it, but Candace Owens said that she was for banning porn, and then Cardi B came out and said she was against it. I would like your guys' opinions. Do you think pornography should be banned? Let's forget regulating the internet. That's too broad of a conversation to try and get through, because once you start regulating the internet, that's where it becomes censorship of free speech and suppression of information. But as far as pornography is concerned, do you think that there should be some type of ban in the United States when it comes to porno?
Well, I'd say obviously like with age stuff, yeah, but I'd say the less the government's involved in the marketplace, the better. So I'd say no for that reason. But I mean, Twitter shouldn't have it on there though. Like you're telling me you could take a president off Twitter, but you can't take porn off of Twitter.
Correct.
You leave terrorists on Twitter as well. So I mean, this is even before Elon Musk. So I don't know what the justification is for that being on the feed, but it seems like something they could very easily control. I don't know why they're not. I mean, something that has young kids on it should probably not be allowed to have porn on it.
What do you think, Dave?
It's a tough one. Ban porn. What two consenting adults will do, and what other consenting adults want to consume. And then, I mean, I don't want to get too lawyery semantical, but then, I mean, literally, how would you define porn? Yeah. And then where does the line stop? And if people have sexual fetishes that deviate from traditional stuff, I mean, do you want to ban stuff that anyone derives sexual pleasure from? No, I'm more of the line like this is consenting adults, consumed by consenting adults. And within the realm of the law in terms of what's allowed, in terms of criminal activity, like consenting stuff, no, you can't.
Shane?
I think you could ban it as a national security threat because it's making men weak and it's ruining our attention spans. But also, I think ultimately the answer will just have to come from within and from your own free will, because same thing with drugs and alcohol. If you're an addict to anything, you're gonna find a way to do it, and you have to just have the discipline and the will to stop it. So it's really ultimately it's your fault. You can't have the government ban it.
You ain't taking away my porn.
My guns and my porn.
Yeah,
Stay with me.
I stopped, dude. I'm joking. I stopped watching porn a long time ago because I kept listening, about the church thing, and it's really, really bad, bro. It's addicting. Because then I was like, going on a date, why waste my time? I'm trying to, have an orgasm. But I think there should be restrictions. I think X needs to chill because, bro, think about the people in the Amazon. They're not going to want to go hook up with some Amazonian biatch. They're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to jerk off to this white blonde chick from whatever. I think there needs to be restrictions to access to kids because anybody could just go on whatever websites, boobs, whatever.com, and there's no, hey, are you 18? Put your code on your computer. I think there needs to be a firewall for who can watch it for an age, like a verification. But, yeah, I think sometimes it's necessary for people the same with strip clubs. Like some of these guys that have no release to the outside world, they need that release, bro. That's why I think strippers are so no joke. I'm not being funny. What's the oldest profession in the world? Prostitution. Men need that release that can't get it normally. They have to pay for it. And, bro, think about those alpha, aggressive testosterone guys. If they don't have those girls, if they don't have a place to go to have this release, they're going to do it to women that are just walking around.
And on the opposite fact, the guys that are like the simps and the cucks and the betas, we always talk about those guys.
You mean the Destinies?
Yeah, the Destinies. Sure, the Destiny. But there are lonely people who also go out to strip clubs and meet those strippers and pay their way through, dental hygienist school or whatever they're paying their way through. But it's an emotional connection for them as well. So it's there are like I've met a bunch of dudes like because it's very odd, but working in radio, you get a lot of weird, lonely, single dudes who also happen to also love going to strip clubs, and you'd meet a lot of these guys that listen to the radio that go to the strip clubs that have like friendships with these strippers because it's their only outlet to connect with a woman. So do you take that away from these guys and then only make them even more aggravated incels, or do you allow them to have that consensual monetary release?
I think we need it. And again, I agree 100%. I think we need it for them. But I think with the porn, just a firewall for the younger people not to be able to get to it so easy.
You have to think about that logistically. If you have to show ID like you do with a Bitcoin website or whatever, you imagine the blackmail material that registry of people who are registered to view porn.
All of a sudden, like Rob likes going to blacksonblondes.com, and now I'm in a fucking database.
How old are you? 44?
I'm 37.
37?
Look, 84.
Rob was on White Holes, Black Poles. What the hell? Debbie does Dallas.
I mean, it wouldn't be blackmail material for everybody, but it might be more blackmail material for some. You have to think just in terms of the regulation, like if the government gets this or has this database, you know damn well they're not going to use it for good purposes.
Of course not.
Ultimately, it comes down to parents and their kids. Once a kid turns 18, the parents do their job and make sure that you know what your kids are looking at on the internet.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it. All right, guys. Rob, you good?
Yeah, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
hey guys.
I'm just on boobs.com now that you mentioned it.
Rob, I still can't believe the Amazon story, which is freaking, it's crazy, it's hilarious. But guys, thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate you guys. For everybody at home, I love you to death. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe right there. Hit the notification bell just in case our times change. But we're normally on Wednesdays and Fridays, right, Kels? Wednesdays and Fridays. Guys, if you haven't downloaded Connect, please download the app. And if you want to talk to any of us, here are our QR codes. There's mine. Anything you want to talk about, any suggestions for stories, for anything that you want to do, that's my Connect right there. Who do we have next? Rob Gargiulo. Rob, change the damn profile.
I did. I don't know why it's not updated.
You got to give it to him. You can talk to Rob or Vivek Ramaswamy, who's old. Is he on there? Shane.
Rob, I changed my picture.
Divine.
Nice.
Shane.
Yeah, there you go.
Sexy guy with his freaking beard in his hair. And Brandon Acito is on there as well. Brandon's going to be on tonight. If you want to give him some advice or give him some topics to talk shit. And the beautiful, the lovely Kellyanne Arnold, the love of my life. I love her to death. There she is. Anything you want to talk about to Kelly about right there. Boom. And guys, just last, right here, the Angry Patriot shirt. Go on, what is it, VTmerch.com. We'll have the link in the description. Guys, let people know. And if somebody goes, why are you angry? Tell me, get the hell out of your face. We're going to have that at VTmerch.com. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Hey, take care of each other, love each other, and screw the system. All right? I'll see you guys next Friday. Peace and love.